Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're tackling something called liberating structures.
Yeah, liberating structures.
Which are all about making group work more effective.
Right.
And, their motto is include and unleash everyone.
Okay.
We've got a whole bunch of articles and notes here.
Yeah.
And I really think that this one's going to be super useful for everyone listening.
These structures are so interesting. They really depart from those traditional meeting formats.
Yeah.
We're really trying to maximize participation and innovation here.
Exactly. And today we're zeroing in on one in particular called the Agreement Certainty Matrix.
Interesting.
And basically it helps you figure out what kind of problem you're dealing with, which is key to picking the right tools to solve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about really understanding whether a challenge is simple or complicated or complex or chaotic.
Right. That's a big distinction.
It is.
So, okay, let's break down this matrix.
Okay.
We've got two axes, agreement and certainty. What exactly do those refer to?
So if you can picture a simple graph.
Okay.
One axis represents how much your team agrees about what the problem is.
Okay.
How much they agree on how to solve it.
Okay.
And the other axis looks at how certain you are about the outcome.
Okay.
Meaning how predictable are the results of your actions going to be.
So if everyone's on the same page about the problem and we know what the outcome is going to be, that's
yes,
high agreement, high certainty.
High agreement, high certainty.
And that's the simple quadrant.
Exactly. That's what we call simple. And the analogy that they use in the material is like following a recipe.
Oh, okay.
You've got your ingredients, you've got your instructions.
Yeah.
You've got a pretty good idea of what the cake's going to look like in the end.
Right.
Now, even in simple situations, things can go wrong.
Sure.
The oven could break. You could, spill something.
Let's forget an ingredient.
Yeah. You could forget an ingredient. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the overall path and outcome are pretty clear.
Okay, that makes sense. But things are not always that straightforward.
Right.
So what about when there's more ambiguity?
That's where those other quadrants come in.
Yeah.
So think about sending a rocket to the moon.
Okay.
You've got expert engineers, you've got detailed plans, but there's always a chance something could go wrong.
Of course.
So that's high agreement on the plan, but low certainty about the outcome.
Right.
That's a complicated problem.
Complicated.
It's not that it can't be solved, but the path is less predictable.
Okay. And then there's the classic example of raising a child.
Yes.
Which, low agreement, low certainty.
Yeah.
I mean, every kid is different, so there's no playbook there.
Exactly. In complex situations, you need to adapt, experiment, and learn as you go.
Yeah.
You can't just follow a set of instructions.
Right.
And that's where diverse perspectives become really crucial, because there's no single right answer.
So where does chaotic fit into all this?
So think about that party game. Pin the tail on the donkey.
Oh, yeah.
You're blindfolded, you're spinning around,
Yeah.
you're hoping for the best. So that's low agreement on how we're going to do this.
Okay.
But in this case, high certainty about the outcome. It's going to be unpredictable.
Interesting. So even in chaos, there's certainty about something. What does that look like in a team setting?
So imagine a crisis.
Okay. Yeah.
Like a server outage or a PR disaster, something that requires immediate action.
Right.
But nobody's really sure what the right steps are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that shared understanding that things are chaotic,
Okay.
the very little agreement on how to resolve it.
Got it. So we've got our 4 quadrants: simple, complicated, complex, and chaotic.
Yes.
But why does it even matter which one our problem falls into?
Well, because if you mismatch the problem type and the solution that you apply,
Yeah.
you're going to get frustrated and waste time.
Right.
Think about it. You can't solve a complex problem like employee morale with a simple checklist.
Right. You need a more nuanced approach.
Exactly.
I am curious, though, how do you avoid getting stuck in analysis paralysis?
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Even after you've figured out what quadrant you're in,
Right.
Is there a risk of just overthinking it all?
So the matrix is a tool for decision making.
Okay.
It's not a method for making decisions.
I see.
The key is to use it to guide your approach,
Okay.
not get bogged down in categorization.
So how do we put this matrix to work?
Well, the power of this structure is that it's collaborative.
Okay.
You're involving the whole team.
Right.
So first, everybody identifies the challenges that they're facing,
Uh-huh.
and they place those on their own personal matrix.
Okay.
So everybody's thinking about the nature of the challenges
Yeah.
before they jump into solutions.
So you're getting everyone on the same page from the start.
Exactly.
Oh.
Then you discuss your placements,
Yeah.
first with a partner, then in a small group.
Okay.
And that helps to refine your thinking.
Yeah.
and to see different perspectives.
Makes sense.
Then finally, you visualize all of the challenges on a shared matrix.
Okay.
And this step is where the magic happens.
I bet. So you start to see patterns emerge, right?
Yes.
Maybe your team is dealing with a lot of complex challenges that you've been treating like they're simple.
Exactly. Or maybe there are some problems that some people see as straightforward, while others see them as much more complicated.
Okay.
And that visual representation is key to understanding the nature of your work.
Right.
And that's where the real insights begin. So by recognizing those mismatches, you can start to make better choices about which problem-solving methods to use.
Okay.
A simple problem might benefit from a clear checklist,
Sure.
but a complex one needs more brainstorming,
Right.
experimentation, maybe even some structured disagreement to really explore those options.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of defaulting to the same old meeting format every single time, you're actually choosing a tool that's best fits the type of challenge you're facing.
Exactly.
Are there any pitfalls that we should watch out for when we're using this matrix?
Oh, absolutely.
I imagine it could be pretty easy to misinterpret the situation.
Yes.
Or force a problem into the wrong quadrant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One common mistake is assuming that simple means easy.
Right.
Or unimportant.
Yeah.
Just because a problem is straightforward doesn't mean it doesn't deserve careful attention.
Right.
Another mistake is getting stuck in the complicated quadrant,
Okay.
endlessly analyzing and planning without ever taking action.
So how do you know when it's time to move from analysis to action?
That is a great question.
Especially in a complicated situation where things are well complicated?
Sometimes you just need a little bit of a leap of faith.
Okay.
Especially when you're dealing with innovative work.
Yeah.
You gather the best information you can, you build in some flexibility, and then you just make the best decision that you can with the information that you have.
You gotta jump in.
You do.
Oh.
The key is to be prepared to adapt as you go and learn from your experiences.
Okay, so this is all starting to click now.
Good.
But I know you have some real-world examples of how this matrix actually plays out.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through one?
Sure. Let's say you're leading a team and you're tasked with launching a new product.
Okay.
There's a lot of excitement. There's buy-in from everybody. Everybody agrees this is a priority. But there's also uncertainty about the market.
Sure.
How would you map that on the matrix?
Well, there's high agreement on the goal, launching the product, but low certainty about the outcome, how the market will receive it. So that puts us in the complicated quadrant, right?
Exactly. This tells you that a rigid step-by-step plan probably won't work here.
Okay.
Instead of fixating on predicting every detail, you'd focus on building in flexibility.
Okay.
Set clear milestones, collect data along the way. Be ready to adjust course based on what you learn.
That's really helpful. It's like the matrix is giving you permission to embrace the uncertainty,
Right.
but also to approach it strategically.
Exactly.
Do you have another example? Maybe one that falls into a different quadrant.
Sure. Let's say you have a planning group that's stuck in analysis paralysis.
No, yeah.
They've been gathering data, they've been debating options, but they can't seem to make a decision.
Been there.
And move forward with their project.
Oh, yeah. You just go in circles overthinking everything.
Yes.
And you end up making zero progress.
Exactly. Now imagine using the agreement certainty matrix with this group.
Okay.
By visualizing their project on the matrix.
Yeah.
They might realize that they're treating a complex problem as if it were simple or complicated.
Interesting.
Maybe they're looking for a single right answer when really there are multiple possibilities, each with their own trade-offs.
So the matrix helps them to shift their mindset from, seeking perfect solutions to one of experimentation and learning.
Exactly. Instead of trying to eliminate all uncertainty, they can start to identify small steps that they can take even without knowing the full picture.
Okay.
This allows them to gather real-world feedback and adjust their approach accordingly.
It's interesting. We've been focusing on how this matrix helps groups make better decisions. But I can also see how this could really improve communication within a team.
That's a great observation.
Like if one team member sees a problem as simple,
right?
Maybe just needing a quick fix.
Yeah.
While another sees it as complex, requiring a much deeper analysis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a recipe for conflict and frustration.
It is. They're talking past each other.
Yeah.
They're operating from different mental models.
Exactly. But the agreement certainty matrix gives them a shared language to discuss those differences productively.
Exactly.
It's not about forcing everyone to agree.
Right.
It's more about acknowledging the different perspectives and then working together to find an approach that addresses the true nature of the challenge.
Exactly.
So even if you don't reach complete agreement,
right.
you're at least having a more informed and constructive conversation about why you see things differently.
Absolutely. It helps to surface those hidden assumptions and biases that can often derail group decision-making.
This has been incredibly helpful.
Good.
I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on how to approach problem solving and group work.
I'm glad.
Really insightful stuff.
And remember, this is just one of many liberating structures out there.
Oh, right.
That are designed to help groups tap into their collective intelligence and creativity.
Okay, so we've talked about the agreement certainty matrix and how it helps you categorize different types of problems.
Right.
But how do you actually use that knowledge to, move forward? What happens after you've figured out, where your challenge falls in the matrix?
That's where these liberating structures really come in.
Okay.
So once you understand the nature of the challenge, you can actually select a structure that's specifically designed to address it.
So it's like having a toolkit with different tools for different jobs.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb. And you wouldn't use a simple checklist to tackle a complex problem.
You got it.
So can you give us some examples of how this works in practice?
Sure.
Let's say you have a simple problem.
Okay.
High agreement, high certainty.
Okay.
What kind of liberating structure might be helpful in that situation?
So for a simple problem, you might use a structure like 1, 2, 4, all.
Okay.
This is a really rapid-fire brainstorming technique.
Okay.
Where everyone gets a chance to share their ideas, build on each other's suggestions, and quickly come to a shared understanding.
So you're really leveraging that collective wisdom of the group there to come up with a solution that everyone feels good about.
Yes.
What about for a complicated problem?
Okay.
We talked about sending a rocket to the moon earlier.
Yeah.
What kind of structure would be helpful in that kind of situation?
So in that case, you might use something like Tree Z, which is a more structured problem-solving process that helps you break down the complex challenge into smaller, more manageable components.
Right.
And systematically analyze the potential risks and solutions.
So for those really high-stakes, technically complex situations, TRIZ can provide that structure and guidance that you need.
Exactly.
What about complex problems where there's a lot of uncertainty and disagreement about the best path forward?
That's where a structure like open space technology can be really powerful.
Okay.
It's a self-organizing process that allows participants to kind of set the agenda and dive into the topics that matter most to them.
So you're stepping back as a leader?
Yes.
And letting the group's collective intelligence guide the process.
Exactly.
Trusting that the right conversations will happen.
Right.
And the best solutions will emerge.
It's a great way to tap into the wisdom of the crowd.
Makes sense. Okay. What about chaotic situations?
Okay.
Where it's like hard to even know where to start. Is there a liberating structure that can help with that?
Yeah. When things are chaotic, a structure like impromptu networking can be very helpful.
Okay.
It's a very quick, informal way to gather information, share perspectives, and identify potential next steps.
So it's kind of like a rapid response tool for those moments when you need to act quickly.
Right.
But you're not even sure what questions to ask.
Exactly. And again, the key is to choose the right liberating structure for the right type of challenge.
Using the agreement certainty matrix as your guide.
Exactly.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Good. I'm glad.
Any final thoughts for our listeners before we sign off?
Just remember that this agreement certainty matrix isn't just some theoretical model.
Right.
This is a practical tool you can use in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Whether you're at work or in your community or even just grappling with a personal challenge.
It's about taking a step back.
Yeah.
Looking at the situation.
And understanding the nature of the challenge.
Choosing the right tools for the job.
Exactly. And remember, there's always more to learn.
Always.
More to explore and more ways to liberate your thinking.
That's a great note to end on. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And until next time, keep experimenting, keep collaborating, and keep diving deep.
See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.